Welcome! This is Gasteria glomerata and it is in bloom. Let me show you the flower spike, the flowering stem. Here are the flowers. Let me zoom them a little bit so they are more visible. Look how beautiful they are. They are absolutely amazing. They are hanging down like Christmas decorations, and these flowers have developed first, and then the further we go towards the end of the spike, the flowers are younger, and these ones are still in buds. These ones are still waiting for their turn to open. Let's go back to the plant itself. Maybe I will show you the plant with the spike. Okay, here it is. Gasteria glomerata is a plant from South Africa. And if someone is interested in succulents or in unusual plants, South Africa is the place to go. And this is because the south part of the continent consists of patches of different kinds of environment without any connections between them. So there are very dry deserts that are separated by a completely different habitat. So South African deserts behave like islands, and whatever life forms are developing there are developing independently from what is developing in the other enclave, in the other completely separated part of this continent, of this part of the continent. In South Africa, therefore, there are many different types of plants that have evolved to the same kind of habitats, but because they evolved independently, they are completely different. And what is also very interesting, the body of the plant is shaped by the environment. The body of the plant is shaped by the habitat in which the plant grows. So if you see the very thick leaves here, this is because a thick body is required in a dry environment, and it will be true for all plants that are adapted to a dry environment. They have to store water somewhere. This particular plant is storing water in its leaves. There are other types of succulents, other plants that are storing water in their stems, just like cacti do. But the requirement of a dry environment is for the plant to be able to store the water. However, when it comes to a flower, the flower is developing completely independently from the rest of the plant. The flower is evolving to be pollinated. The flower is evolving to be easily accessible by its pollinator. And that's why plants, succulents, that look very similar to each other, even if they are unrelated, if they are not genetically related or evolutionarily related, they look the same. However, their flowers are completely different from one plant to the other, from one group of the plant, from one family of the plants to the other. So let's go back to the whole plant. And as we can see, the Gasteria has evolved to have these lampions-like tiny flowers on a long stem, and it's a completely different design than, for example, a cactus, or to look closer in the South African continent than the Mesembryanthemaceae, which will be the lithops and fenestraria and all those plants, which have flowers that resemble a little bit a dandelion's flower or a daisy flower, or the flowers of euphorbias, which are completely different, which are quite tiny, quite insignificant, just because they are pollinated by moths. And these ones are pollinated by birds. They are pollinated by birds that have a very long beak, small birds with a long beak that are able to reach the inside of the flower from the bottom of it. Gasteria glomerata is a relatively easy plant, and I am very hesitant saying that it is an easy plant. It is easy for me because there are many plants that are described as easy that don't grow in my house at all, for which my house somehow is not friendly enough for them to thrive. And I know experienced collectors who have problems with gasterias. So when I'm saying that it's a relatively easy plant to grow, what I want to say is just that this plant is somehow agreeing with the conditions that I am able to provide it with. So what I am doing is I keep it inside in the winter. I am watering it in the winter, but just a little bit. I do let the plant dry out completely before I water it again, so it will be depending again on the temperature, depending on how sunny it is outside, because I keep it on a windowsill. So if the winter or if the weeks are very sunny and quite warm, I would water it a little bit more often than if it's a gloomy and cold weather outside and the plant and the temperature on the windowsill is quite low, especially that I keep it in a room that is not heated during winter time, so it can be quite cold. It can be well below 20 degrees in this room. And then when the weather is becoming warmer and the danger of frost is gone somewhere in the beginning of May, I used to take this plant outside and I kept it in partial shade. However, with quite disastrous results, because what happened, a bird was poking on the leaves and damaged them, which left some scars here that don't look very attractive at all. So what I will do, I will keep it inside this year. I will not take it out. I will keep it inside, and I will be watering it quite heavily. Like heavily again, not as much as I would water an African violet, for example. When I see that the plant is dry, then I would water it. I have not tried and I have not attempted to propagate this plant, but it would be quite easy to take just one of these offsets and plant it in a different pot. I bought this plant just as one single plant, and I guess it must have been this one because it is the biggest plant here in this pot. But this one would be very easily separated from the rest of the plant and planted in a different pot, and that's how you can propagate this plant. But what I'm hoping that this entire pot will be filled with the plant, and hopefully one year I will have more than one and maybe even multiple stems, flowering stems. That would be really, really nice. I am very fond of this plant. I am very fond of every plant I have, actually, but I specifically like plants that are unique, that are unlike anything else. I also like small plants, and Gasteria glomerata fits this description perfectly. It's a unique plant and it's a beautiful plant, and it is a small plant. that I can easily put on my windowsill among other plants. Thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you like my Gasteria glomerata as much as I do. Have a great day!